Hello and welcome to the No Dementia podcast, where we talk about dementia and brain health. I'm your host, Joe Tumalo. I'm a volunteer here at Dementia Society of America. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life for those living with dementia, their caregivers, and the community. To know dementia, we have to have good brain health and live a beautiful life regardless of what comes our way. So we have an awesome guest today for you. Don is living with Lewy body dementia. He is a true inspiration. He speaks about his experiences around the country, and very inspiring and very hopeful. I know you're going to enjoy it. Before we start, I do have a quick important message. All content, including any potential medical information, is provided as informational resource only, not to be used or relied on for diagnostic or treatment process. It should not be a substitute for professional diagnosis, care, or treatment. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any healthcare decisions or for guidance about a specific medical condition. The opinions expressed and the content shared by me and my guest today are not necessarily the opinions and the content of the Dementia Society of America. Okay, Don, so when we were preparing for our podcast, one of the key points that you wanted to make is using an acronym, ASAP. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. First of all, it's nothing I created. It's entirely from Robert Bowles, who is the first person I talked to after I'd been diagnosed, who was a person living with Lewy body dementia. And I asked him for advice, and he began with ASAP, which is number one, acceptance of your diagnosis. Those that fight it, deny it, feel terrible about themselves, tend to wallow in it, and you need to get to the point, at some point, if you're going to live with this disease and live the best you can, to accept your diagnosis and get to that point where, yeah, I got it, but it's not going to control me. I'm going to do the best I can every day with the rest of the days I have. So acceptance. Socialization is the S, continuing to interact with people and groups, and rather than shutting yourself in, and you may or may not want to tell people about your diagnosis. That's up to you, but you need to continue to interact and maintain that brain activity, because that's healthy and I think helps you live a more full life with the disease.
Excuse me, Don, is there any, at any point is it like, are you embarrassed that you might say or do something that you feel like you want to cut that off ahead of time and say, look, just so you know, I'm dealing with some things. If I don't know, would that even be a factor? You know, I just want to let you know, this is what I'm dealing with. So if I seem like I'm not fully present or something, is that helpful, or did you have to?
To me, that would be totally up to the person living with the disease. None of us experiences it the same way. None of us have exactly the idea about things. I accepted my diagnosis, and I did not want to hide it. I'm not ashamed of it. I finally had a medical diagnosis and explanation, and it's something I'd never heard of. And I'd been a medical malpractice defense lawyer for the last 30 years of my legal career, and I'd had Alzheimer's cases, but I'd never heard of this disease, and I was upset by that, and so I wanted the people to know about the disease, but some people don't want to tell other people. That's totally up to the person living with it, and how you interact about that is a very individual decision too. So if you want to tell people I may be off here, or that, I'm fine with that, or not. Just doing the best you can and let them wonder. I think that's an individual decision on how somebody chooses they want to handle living with their dementia.
Well, the acceptance, I get so much credit for being able to accept it. I can't, I would think most people, I don't know that it would probably take me a long time to really accept it. And we might say to other people, yeah, I accept it. but there's always something. Yeah. So how did you, if you're comfortable sharing, did you get help in accepting it? Did you just, I mean, you seem like a very strong-willed person.
No, I was a medical malpractice defense lawyer. For the last 30 years of my practice, all I did was defend doctors and hospitals and nurses. And I gained a great respect for the medical community. And I was frustrated for 7 months of not getting a diagnosis. So I went to what I think is, if not the most, one of the most outstanding institutions in the world, the Mayo Clinic. And let me tell you, they took it and they did all the tests. They had them all set up back to back. I knew I was in hands of somebody that knew what they were doing about these diseases. And when he told me what I had, I felt relief, frankly, because it did explain what had been happening to me. And I was being told, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just nuts. And
really?
Yeah. And wow. Here it was where I had a medical condition that I never heard of. And yet when Dr. Notman discussed it with me, everything that I'd been having fit right into classic Lewy body dementia. And I accepted it. I knew right then that I had it. I mean, I asked Dr. Notman, how sure of you are this? And he said, oh, we don't know for 100% unless when we do an autopsy on you at your brain. But he says 70% or higher. And it just explained everything. So as particularly after I studied it more and more, I immediately bought the book that had the chapter in it. And of course I did research and found the seminal paper and on the diagnosis and management. And so I knew I had it. I mean, just I'd been involved in enough medicine so that it explained what it was. So to me, acceptance was fairly easy. But most people don't have that situation. I can understand.
How long, you said you were for about 7 months trying to figure out what it was. How long did it take the Mayo Clinic to figure it out? What do you think?
I was there in less than a week.
Oh my gosh. Wow. What a great endorsement for them.
Absolutely. Incredible. Fabulous doctors and fabulous care.
Amazing. And so A stands for the next A. The second A is attitude.
Attitude. Yeah. Attitude. I mean, you can dwell in the negative and my wife says sometimes I paint too rosy a picture about what's going on, but I choose to be positive the best I can for as long as I can. Some days it don't turn out that way, but it's much more better. It's better for your mental health to be in a positive attitude about things. Don't dwell on what you can't do. Figure something out that you still can do and enjoy and focus on the positive. And don't dwell on all the things you can't do anymore. I gave up driving, almost immediately. When I started hallucinating, I go around speaking publicly all the time, and I'm a lawyer. And if I had a wreck, and I started seeing things and hearing things that aren't there, and I'd immediately be at fault. So I said, "Yeah, I'm giving up driving." So I Uber a lot. I do, I just stay positive, keep active, keep going forward, and it's just a lot healthier for you, and it makes. Yeah, you can be negative all day, and you can gripe about it, and you can feel sorry for yourself, and frankly, I did go through that. I mean, there's a time there. There are rough times, and I have those rough times. My wife can talk a lot more about than I do, but it just helps everybody if you can stay positive. It helps your caregiver. It helps your frame of mind. It's not always possible, but do the best you can to stay as positive as you can for as long as you can.
Well, it's like, who was the guy? Remember Zig Ziglar, one of the early self-development guys? He was like a sales motivational speaker. And he said this positive attitude and is like brushing your teeth. You don't just brush your teeth once and say, I'm done. Every day when you get up, you have to start over. And it's okay. It's a new day. Or like there's another guy I listen to, I can't think of his name, but he talks about a campfire. You build the campfire, but it only lasts so long. So every day when you get up, you have to rebuild the campfire and start again with your fresh attitude, your positive attitude. And it's a daily for all of us, but certainly for yourself, you've got so much more. It makes it so much more difficult to stay positive. Again, your message is, and you are very inspiring.
Thank you.
And then finally, P. The P stands for
purpose.
Purpose.
Most of us, our purpose is sort of entwined with our job, right? Or what are we doing for a living? What is it? And that's the way I viewed it. And I knew when the doctor told me what I had, Dr. Naughton said, well, Don, you need to continue to work, and I said, well, Dr. Naughton, you know what I do for a living, right? Is defend you guys in multi-million-dollar medical malpractice cases. Would you want me to be your lawyer? And he goes, no. And I said, well, funny thing, neither would any other doctor. Probably the last thing they want to hear is, hi, I'm Don Kent. I'm your lawyer, and I got Lewy body dementia. Some days about it, I knew my law practice days were over, and he says, well, you got to have a purpose, and so Robert Bowles, when I met him, he says, what'd you do for a living? And I said, I was a lawyer. And he said, well, what'd you sit around behind the desk and write contracts? I said, no, I've tried over 100 cases to jury verdict, including one televised nationally on court TV. And I speak. And he says, you speak? It's the most common disease nobody's ever heard of, Don. What do you think? I said, you're right, Robert. I need to speak about this disease publicly. And
amazing.
I began using every avenue I could find to get opportunities to speak to people about what it's like living with dementia.
Are you still? Yeah, I'm sorry, Don. Are you still doing that now? Are you still
absolutely. I'm blessed. We have UT Tyler here in town has a nursing school, and I speak to their class every year. I think twice a year, actually. Tyler Junior College has a LVN program and a dementia course, and I speak at it several times a year because they change over new classes and all that. I came to meet a fellow Baylor graduate. I graduated from Baylor University, and who happens to be a nursing professor over in TCU in Fort Worth, and she invites me to speak to her class every year, and she recommended me to TCU as a medical school. I speak to first-year medical students at TCU every year. I speak I've spoken at conferences held in Fort Worth. Fort Worth kind of leads the state of Texas in dementia care and awareness. Their nursing program is now even providing you can get a subspecialty in dementia nursing. So I stay active with doing a lot of those things, and then other opportunities that come along. I speak to church groups. Faith has been a very part of my journey, and I speak to church groups about that. Anybody. You get two people together that want to learn something about what's like to live with dementia, I'll be there.
That's great. Now, will you do that Well, obviously, you'll do it online. So if people want, I'll give you a quick plug here. If people want to have you speak online, would be no problem, right? Anywhere.
Anywhere.
How about on site? Would you go anywhere in the country or just certain areas?
I would consider going, anywhere in the country, particularly, the bigger the event, the more I would be, I wouldn't want to fly to Alaska to talk to two people. I mean, I'll Zoom that,
Absolutely.
But if it's a big conference, I speak to a medical conference that's here in Tyler, family practitioners at their medical conference. I've spoken there. I've been to, like I say, mostly places I've been to Las Vegas for the International Lewy Dementia Medical Convention, and then Fort Worth quite a few times. And I've been to Longview, which is down the road a little bit from Tyler, and they have very active dementia groups there that are trying to press knowledge about dementia and the proper care. I'm in the Speakers Bureau for Teepa Snow, who's, of course, internationally known, who developed the positive approach to care and is a wonderful program. And I do things virtually, although I was speaking at a conference actually here in Tyler when she was brought here to speak in person. So she said, "You be out there with me, and we're going to speak together." So, nice. I go anywhere. Mostly it's around here, but.
And how can people get in touch with you, Don, if they do want to book you for a speaking gig?
My email is D as in Don Kent, Kent, at Tyler, Tyler.net. And you can send me an email and we can set something up.
Well, thank you. Anything else you want to share with our audience?
I don't want to be known as someone dying from my dementia. I want to be known for someone who lived the best they could every day of their life after their diagnosis. And I want people with dementia to know there is life after this diagnosis.
Beautiful. God bless you. Thank you so much.
A pleasure. And it's great to be with the Dementia Society of America. I think that'll be a great work.
Thanks for helping us. You be well.
You too.
Thanks, Don. Well, thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful. This is a monthly podcast, so check back, please, every month. We'll be bringing you new ideas and information to help you with better health and navigate dementia care. Do you have your umbrella guide yet? This is an awesome, easy to read document, 16-page, filled with facts of understanding dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. You can get a free copy by going to 1-800-dementia.org or by calling 1-800-DEMENTIA. We're a national nonprofit. We're here to help you. And please let us know how we can do that. All the best.